Hello everyone, please press subscribe, press follow, press the bell so you don't miss any new clips. Adorable Treasured Fox Divine Doctor Mother Overturning the Heavens. Author by Co. Chi Yi. Audio novels by Novelist. Adorable Treasured Fox, Divine Doctor Mother Overturning the Heavens. Chapter 121, Ruined 2. Yu Rong's head was buzzing with a ring. In the face of the Qian family coming to extort her, she became so angry that she blurted out her response without bothering to think it through. Don't even try to blackmail me, I've already returned the damn pill to you guys back then, so why are you here asking for it? When she first opened her mouth, old Madam Yu already knew it's going to be bad and nearly lost her heart there. Unfortunately for the old granny, it was already too late for her to stop that mistake. Boom. Literally detonating inside their heads, the crowd was so overwhelmed by these shocking revelations that they couldn't even come to terms with what they heard. Now they are certain, Bai Yan didn't leave back then because she wanted to elope with another man. It's a desperate attempt to avoid being sold as a concubine to an old grandpa by the Bai family. You wrong. Bai Co narrowed in on the woman, his eyes bloodthirsty and raving with frost. 6 years ago you persecuted my sister and forced her to flee, but that's not enough for you, is it? You went and made all those lies just to ruin her reputation. But don't you forget, everything that's going in your mouth, everything that you are wearing, all of it belongs to my mother. In the end, this is how you treat my sister. The most ironic part of it all was Bai Co himself had once resented his own sister too. He wanted to know why she would leave without saying goodbye and leaving him behind alone in this wretched place. But now, he understands. It's not selfishness that drove his sister to leave, it's humiliation and pain. Yu Rong's lips started to tremble as all color left her already ghostly face. Now, she couldn't even utter another word due to how weak she felt. It's over. It's all over. Never in her life had she felt so defeated. Uncle, I want to go home. Wrapping his arms around the young man's neck, Bai Xiao's eyes were sparkling with light. Okay, we'll go home. From now on you will never have to come to this polluted place again. Tightly embracing the little steam bun in his arms, Bai Co swore to himself that he will never let his sister and nephew come to any harm again. Ellipsis. A while later, when Bai Co brought the little rascal back to the old manor, he was shocked to find Lady Chu already present inside. This naturally puzzled the young man. Mother, Auntie Hualuo. Breaking free from his uncle's arm, Bai Xiao hurriedly ran up to Bai Yan's side and pounced into her embrace. In a swift move, he gave the woman a smooch on the face before anything else. Mother, I just solved a hidden danger for you today. Even if we do anything bad to the Bai family in the future, no one will ever say anything bad about us. Watching her son's dirty appearance, Bai Yan's first reaction wasn't to praise the boy, but to pinch that little nose. How did you get your face so dirty? Hurry and go wash your face. This is all Little Rice's fault, pinching his mouth in discontent. I already told him you don't like kids that's dirty and messy, but he insisted on smothering dirt on my clothes and face. Yep, Little Rice must be jealous of me, that's why he made me look so dirty in front of Mother. And you still got the nerve to say that? Who is that first wanted to light my fur on fire? Rolling his tiger eyes, Little Rice counters with his own version. Not backing down, the baby boy stabs his cute little fists onto his hip and said, if I didn't do that, then how can I make it look like we escaped from the fire? Listening to this strange dialogue between man and beast, Bai Co only had this going on in his head. What is going on? Uncle, turning to face that confused young man behind himself. I didn't mean to scare you. It's just that I didn't want anyone to say that my mother wasn't right, hence the reason why I took it upon myself for the task. In the future, no one can ever humiliate Mother again. Regaining his composure, Bai Co felt very complicated inside. He's happy over his nephew's intelligence, but also sad that the boy would be like this. What sort of suffering did they go through to make this little guy so sensible? Adorable Treasured Fox, Divine Doctor Mother Overturning the Heavens. Chapter 122. Did I owe you a favor in my past life? Mother, blinking those babyish eyes, is it you who ordered Auntie Chu to go there? Stunned by the comment, Bai Seo once again turned his gaze to the woman in question. Lady Chu is a member of the flower brothel, so why is Xiakan using the word order? Little Rice came back before and told me your intent, therefore I had your Auntie Chu go there to serve as the witness. Bai Yan then slightly wrinkled her brow, though you pulled it off beautifully this time, but I won't allow another risky attempt like this in the future. Do you understand me? Pinching his mouth to one side, Bai Xiakan looked a little unhappy. I only wanted the world to not misunderstand you. Feeling the warmth flowing out from her heart, Bai Yan promptly wrapped the little steam bun up with her whole body to show how much she cared for him. But, tilting her small little head, Bai Xiakan questioningly asked, but did you also make the Qian family go too? Qian family. Narrowing her eyes, Bai Yan once again recalled that night where she had to flee from this place. What happened? How can the Qian family appear at the critical moment? Is it? All of a sudden, a certain handsome and overbearing face appeared in her mind, leaving Bai Yan in a momentary trance. Is he responsible for that? Must be him. Aside from him, no one in the kingdom can make the Qian family do that when they are also one of the three major families here. Sister. Making a complicated face, Bai Seo sounded a little worried in his voice. How did you get acquainted with the flower brothel? What's more, why is the people from that place taking her orders? Bai Yan knew her brother would surely ask this question. Not hiding it from the boy, she makes a rarely seen cheeky smile. The flower brothel had been mine since a few years ago. This woman beside me is the head of the place. Her name is called Huoluo. This was like an earth-rumbling explosion, leaving the boy speechless and lost for a proper response. Although the flower brothel can't be called a respectable organization, but its influence was on par with the royal family. Such a powerful entity now belongs to his sister. My sister. Even more importantly, Yu Rong actually want to sell his nephew to the flower brothel. So, Bai Yan slowly rose from her seat and gracefully walked towards her brother. Like I said before, even if you don't take the Bai house, I can still take down this country for you. Her promise will never be revoked. Bai Seo didn't respond to her sister's comment. Looking down at the ground, that handsome face was shrouded in gloom. Then after a long while of seemingly forever, he looks up again like he's made his decision. Yours is yours. As a man, it's my duty to hold up the sky. Not to mention, he pauses, then firmly said the rest. The current Bai house only reached its current state thanks to mother. I cannot let her efforts fall into waste. Sister is already strong enough, that means I only need to become stronger to protect her in the future. Sister. Gently hugging his sister, Bai Seo smiles at her in a reassuring manner. Don't worry about me, I will not be in danger. No matter what happens, I am still the only male in the Bai house. That man will not be too excessive with me. Seeing her brother being so insistent, Bai Yan can only relent and let the boy do as he wishes. Besides, she already stationed her people around to protect him in secret. There's nothing to worry about. If you need anything then you must come find me. Patting the boy's shoulder, she sounded demanding. Seo, you are my one and only brother, remember that. Happily nodding at her sister's attitude, Bai Seo smiled back. Sister, I feel like I must have owed you a favor in my past life. That's why we are siblings in this life. It's so that I can thank you in the future and be by your side. Sister, I'm sorry I didn't believe in you back then and even blamed you for leaving. From now on, I will never let that happen again. Adorable treasured fox, divine doctor mother overturning the heavens. Chapter 123, The Shameless by Family 1. Brother, since so many things had occurred today, that man will most definitely blame you for everything. Don't go back and stay here for a few days. Smiling warmly, she shifts her gaze over to Huoluo. I already tasked Huoluo here to prepare a room for you. This time Bai Seo was rather complacent and didn't refuse the request. Nodding. All right. It's been 6 years since they separated, so it's only natural that he would want more time with his sister. Ellipsis. At the same time over at Bai Zhengxiang's location. He had just finished running around all day for his daughter Bai Zhi. Sadly for him, his efforts only yielded a firm denial from the prison guards. The answer he got was that Lord Kang wouldn't allow it. As for his son-in-law Mangongyi, the prince was too busy with his own matters, so the problem with Bai Zhi didn't even register with the man despite being relatives. Yet, it was precisely when things are at its worst that the guards from his own home arrived with even more bad news. Upon learning of the incident, Bai Zhengxiang grew furious and angrily headed for his own home, completely forgetting his youngest daughter was still inside the prison in the background. As soon as he stepped into the Bai manor, he immediately roared at the servants, "Go bring me my wife." "Yes, chief." Cupping their hands, the guards behind him hurriedly ran away to carry out the order. A while later, Yu Rong arrives on the scene with her big dark coat. No longer the exquisite and noble woman that she appears to be, only white paleness could be found on the trembling body when facing her husband. "You wrong," Bai Zhengxiang roared. "Back then did you try to sell Bai Yan as a concubine to the Qian family?" Bump. Scared beyond her wits, Yu Rong fell to the ground on her knees. "Husband, you mustn't believe those nonsense out there." "I didn't. No. The Qian family is already knocking at our doors to get their gift back and you still say no." In his fitting rage, he directly slaps the woman across the face. "Didn't I treat your Yu family good enough? I even brought over your mother and treated her with utmost respect, no different from my very own. And you, I never maltreated you in the least. But for your brother, you would sell my daughter just for his sake." Holding onto her reddish cheek, Yu Rong didn't have the courage to face her husband. They've been in love from young to old, but this was honestly the first time he had hit her. For that, how can she not be hurt inside? "Husband, my younger brother is also your cousin." Yu Rong tightly bit her lips with tears flowing down her cheeks. What's more, Bai Yan had already lost her chastity back then. "To not bring any more shame to our family, I arranged for the marriage behind your back so that she would have some form of status before the child's born. It's all for you. Then why did you want to sell Bai Yan's son today?" Clenching his fist to the point it's crunching, Bai Zhengxiang was surging with fury in his eyes. "The flower brothel tended to favor beautiful children, that's why I tried to sell him. I know you've been trying to build up a relationship with that place." Slowly getting up, she continues to weep with her sorrowful face. "Husband, we've been married for so many years and have always done everything in your best interest. That much you should know." It was obviously for her own selfishness that she tried to sell Bai Yan, but through her mouth, it turns into it's for her husband. Can anyone get any more shameless? Oh you wrong, you've done the most stupidest thing in the world." Closing his eyes, the man made a very disappointed face. There's no lie that he's disappointed with his wife. Part of it was due to the fact that Yu Rong's been pretending in front of him all these years, but more than that. After a long while of this silence, Bai Zhengxiang finally opened his eyes with a gloom hovering over his head. "Did you know the man from back then is Dai Kang, the sovereign prince? If you didn't go ahead and try to sell Bai Yan on your own, we could have built a connection with that man. Adorable treasured fox, divine doctor mother overturning the heavens." Chapter 124. The Shameless Bai Family 2. There's one more thing Bai Zhengxiang didn't say here. Since early this morning when they saw how the king had abolished the queen in front of everyone for Dai Kang's sake, it's imperative that they rethink the man's status in this country. Apparently it's not so simple. And if it wasn't for Yu Rong's stupid move of trying to sell his daughter, things never would have come this far. All he would have needed to do was say a few good words and everything would be good, not like now where it's deadlocked and no way back. "Husband," a scheming light flickered across that weeping eye. "I can guarantee you that the man whom Bai Yan met with back then wasn't Dai Kang. I just don't know what sort of means she used to fool Dai Kang into thinking it's her. How can a man allow such an unclean woman to stick around themselves?" Therefore, Yu Rong was certain Bai Yan used some sort of trick to fool the man into thinking it's her. "Why are you so sure?" Shooting a cold glance her way, Bai Zhengxiang asked with a hint of doubt in his voice. Biting her teeth, Yurong figured she might as well lie all the way since it's come to this. 6 years ago Bai Yan did in fact have an affair with a person. I know because I would often see her sneaking out while you were away from home. Then when she became impregnated, the man abandoned her. If it was in the past, Bai Zhengxiang would certainly believe every word of it. But after this incident, his trust can only be called average at best. He intends to maintain a doubting attitude unless proven otherwise. Besides, Yurong's eye went dark. Since Bai Yan will no longer recognize our family, then it won't be beneficial to us if she becomes Lord Kang's wife. I think it's better if we try to send our youngest daughter Ji over instead. Hearing that idiotic suggestion, Bai Zhengxiang instantly flew into a fitting rage. Are you that blind to not see the man's attitude towards our youngest daughter? If anyone is going to disapprove, it would be Daikang first. Husband, swaying over to the man. You are still Bai Yan's father. As the old saying goes, a marriage must get the parents' blessing before it becomes valid. She did not get your permission, hence it's a great disrespect to you. If you put some pressure on her, I'm certain she won't go against you and will willfully give up the main wife position. When that's done, all you have to do is give her some benefits. Now that's when Bai Zhengxiang went silent. What his wife said there was correct. Rather than letting Bai Yan become Daikang's wife, he would much rather send Bai Ji into the Kang manor. At the very least his youngest daughter was clever and sensible. Meanwhile Bai Yan was rebellious and out of his control. What's more, deliberately moving her hair to cover that bruised cheek, she attempts to sound better by making her voice softer. My Ji is her younger sister. What's wrong with yielding her position for the younger one? But Lord Kang sighed, frowning. A flicker of worry could be seen in the man's eye. That's easy to solve. Making a small giggle, Yurong forms a confident smile. Isn't the reason why he's into Bai Yan a misunderstanding? As long as we persuade him the girl from 6 years ago isn't Bai Yan and is our Ji instead, I'm sure Lord Kang would take responsibility considering his character. The whole incident from back then was orchestrated by them, so Yurong had full confidence Daikang wasn't looking for Bai Yan. Now all they need to do was redirect that powerful man's attention to Bai Ji and all will be good. Silent and wordless, Bai Zhengxiang had a complicated look in his eyes. If things weren't like this, Bai Yan becoming Daikang's wife, he might have perhaps tried to make up for the fault he's given his daughter after learning the truth. But now, the lass was all grown up and there's no way she would play by his rules anymore. As such, he's left with no choice but to send his youngest daughter Bai Ji up to that position instead while sacrificing Bai Yan once again. Adorable treasured fox, divine doctor mother overturning the heavens. Chapter 125, This Vicious by Ruo 1. Husband. Seeing Bai Zhengxiang quiet and not talking, Yurong quickly follows up to give the final push. Don't forget, Bai Yan still has the Lan family on her side. The meaning of that was if Bai Yan does come out on top, the only people she will help would be that family and their own Bai household can only stand in the back henceforth. You don't need to say more, he furrows his brow. I understand what you are implying. Let's do this then. Once Ji is safe, I will go find Bai Yan to talk. In reality, when Bai Ji became jailed, he did in fact try to go look for Bai Yan to help him persuade Daikang to let the girl out. Unfortunately, when he tried, the people from the Lan family blocked his entry, forcing him to lose any chances of meeting the girl. Just thinking of his youngest daughter, Bai Zhengxiang would feel his head aching in pain. You go back first and rest. I still need to think of a solution to save Bai Ji tomorrow. Also, I indeed owe Bai Yan a lot. If she is willing to obey me this time, I hope that in the future you can treat her like your own daughter forward and not like before. To you wrong, she will only believe in her own flesh and blood, not some girl through another woman, so the request was entirely wasted. Also, it's precisely because of this point that she's been trying so hard over the years to control the entire Bai house in the palm of her hand. I understand. Hanging her head low, it's getting late now, so I will first take my leave. Please rest soon to my husband. After giving this speech, Yurong made a slight bow and then turned away without looking back. But once she's out of sight and no one's looking, that well-kept face promptly turned into a twisted scowl. Bai Xiaocan. Just thinking of that name would make her want to rip that boy apart. In her mind, she intends to make Bai Ji become Dai Kang's wife. Then once that's done, the first thing she will do is to finish that little beast off. Without saying anything at all here, she silently disappeared into the night with a stream of vile thoughts coming out from her soul. Ellipsis. Inside the palace, Ming Dai Queen was no longer her noble self. Sitting on the poorly ordained wooden chair, only the moonlight gave way to her presence here. Your Highness. The old granny walks up to the woman, her voice distressed based on the tone. You haven't eaten all day, please have something first. Glancing at the plain porridge placed before her, Ning Dai could only raise a bitter smile in the face of this. I have no appetite. She's always been pampered all her life, so how can she partake in such low-quality porridge? But, Granny, biting her lip, the king wouldn't just ignore me, here would he? I'm sure it's only temporary. Once his temper is settled, I'm sure we will be summoned back out. Making a soft sigh, the old granny weakly replied, Highness, this time we've really made the wrong move here. Crown Princess, she used us for her own scheme. Going stiff in the body, Ning Dai's usual dignified face was pale as her hands clenched into a tight ball. Granny, what do you mean by that? I've went outside earlier to inquire around. The Bai family chief had outsought His Highness the Crown Prince before. He wanted to make his youngest daughter Bai Ji into the sovereign princess. However, they were firmly rejected, hence the reason why Bai Ruo came to you. The old granny's express went darker at this part. They wanted to use you to achieve their goal, and now we're suffering as a result. At the beginning, Mangongyi had in fact thought about making Bai Ji enter the Kang manor, but ever since that incident outside the restaurant where the girl ruined her own image, the idea was quickly squashed. Therefore, the prince never could have imagined why his own mother would make such a foolish decision that day. Adorable treasured fox, divine doctor mother overturning the heavens. Chapter 126, This Vicious Bai Ruo 2. Ning Dai wasn't stupid beyond help, otherwise she wouldn't have made it so far in the harem. As to why she would blindly do something like provoking Dai Kang, it's because of trust that Bai Ruo wouldn't go behind her back to trick her. Bai Ruo, squeezing hard down at her sleeves, Ning Dai's face became twisted due to the boiling rage inside her heart. Have I ever done her wrong? Why would she use me? Granny, go to His Majesty the King tomorrow and tell him everything. Tell him it's all Bai Ruo's idea. If you are going to do that, then don't blame me. I won't go down alone. So mother is not at the point of being hopelessly stupid yet. It was exactly at this moment a light chuckle came from the outside. Stiffening in her expression, Ning Dai then changed from surprise to utter fury in her eyes as she watched the swaying figure coming over. Bai Ruo, you still dare come see me? Jolting up from her seat, the former queen resented every second of this. If it's not for this girl, I would not have been abolished from my position, nor would I have been banished to the cold palace. Queen Mother, gently smiling, Bai Ruo enters the room without care. Of course I have to come see you. If not, then wouldn't that mean your precious son would see through to my true face? You. Pointing with rage in her gesture, the woman widens her eye over Bai Ruo's openness to admit the deed. So it is you. It's all your plot. Oh mother, I didn't want this to happen either, but I must make my sister marry Lord Kang. That's why I had you place that decree. However, I really didn't expect your status inside His Majesty's heart to be so low. Smiling with a knife hidden underneath that warmth, Bai Ruo slowly moves in on the former queen, driving the woman into a corner with her intimidating figure. Your Highness, be careful. Going green in her complexion, the granny hurries to pull Ning Dai behind herself. Crown Princess, if you come any closer then I will scream for help. The old granny's voice was hoarse and threatening. Ho ho ho. Giggling derisively, Bai Ruo's voice remains soft and gentle as she spoke. You seem to have forgotten this place is the cold palace. Even if you scream on top of your lunge, no one is going to come. What's more, the patrolling guards are currently changing their shift, meaning there's not a soul that can come save you. Going ghostly white in her expression, Mingdai knew what the girl meant by this. Without outside help, she's done for here because she may be the former queen, but her cultivation was utterly useless. Meaning if Bai Ruo wishes to kill them now, neither herself or the granny here can resist. But, pausing to let her voice sink in, no matter what, you are still my child's grandmother. For the sake of my son, I will give you a choice. Either hang yourself using the ceiling beam, or, I can help you. Trembling in her voice, you vile woman, even if I become a ghost, I will forever haunt you. Oh mother, I'm without options either. If you don't die then I won't be at ease when I sleep. Bringing out the poisonous wine and hanging rope she prepared ahead of time, Bai Ruo threateningly inched forward again. You got two choices here. Either take this poisonous wine or this rope to hang yourself. Pick one, or I will. Ningdai understand it's over, there's no escape for her tonight. Looking at the poisonous wine, her eyes were full of hatred and regret. Bai Ruo, I will never let you get away with this even in death. As soon as her words came out, she makes a grab for the wine and chugged it down her throat. Your Highness, don't. The old granny's heart shuddered at the sight and wanted to stop it. Unfortunately for the old woman, her movements can never match a much younger Ningdai. In a blink of an eye, the poisoned woman took to the floor and curled into a ball due to the extreme pain in her bowel. Powerless and weak, blood begins to seep out of her lips from the corner. Adorable treasured fox, divine doctor mother overturning the heavens. Chapter 127, This Vicious Bai Ruo 3. Highness. Exclaiming, the old granny was about to dash over when a gleaming dagger came straight into her heart. With a resentful and hateful look, the faithful servant falls to, unable to close her eyes even in death. When tomorrow comes around, someone will start spreading the news that you couldn't take the treatment here and committed suicide. And as your most faithful servant, this old granny here also joined you in the afterlife. Watching the gradually dying woman on the ground, Bai Ruo finally revealed her vile and twisted smile. Don't worry. I will take care of your son and grandson very well in your place. So, rest assured, you can move on into the afterlife without hindrance. Giving one last glance at her victim, she turns away and headed out the door. But before she could step outside, that incessant itch came again, causing her to frown at the annoyance. Once all was calm and silent in the room, something unexpected occurred. Daikang suddenly emerged out of nowhere from the shadows. My lord, the queen seems to be dead. The guard that came with him respectfully reports this. It seems we are one step too late. Though he's not showing it, the guard was in fact quite nervous right now. His master had made a personal trip here, but the end result was nothing but a corpse of no value. Humph. Coldly looking down at the unmoving body of the former queen, Daikang gives his order, bring her to the Poison Valley. Poison Valley. Stunned, the guard became confused here because the queen was clearly dead here. That's when it hit him. If his master was giving such an order, it means the woman can still be saved. My lord, forgive me for being blunt. When I was investigating Miss Yan, I discovered she's fluent in both alchemy and medicine. If we hand the queen over to her, I'm sure the poison won't be an issue. When did I say I want to save her? Daikang unemotionally shot the foolish guard a glance. Tell the lord of the Poison Valley that this woman is a gift from me. He can use her however he likes for drug testing. So long as he can keep her breathing, I don't care what he does. Hurrying to lower his head in acceptance, the guard just knew his master here wouldn't be so kind. Lord, the guards spoke up again after remembering another matter. Just now earlier the Qian family sent someone to inform us that they've done as you requested. Now everyone should know Miss Yan was framed back then. Smirking a cruel smile, have that old fossil from the Qian family relieve himself of an arm. If he does that then I will spare him and his clan. Want to touch my woman? You are asking for death. Yes. My lord, always keeping his head down, the guard never once dared to meet Daikang's gaze. If he did, he feared he might suffocate from that oppressive aura. Lord, should we also bring her along? Only when the guard moved forward to pick up Ningdai Queen did he notice the blood-ridden granny nearby. That one's dead already, pointless to bring her along. Once that's said, Daikang promptly turns away. From the darkness in which he came, from the darkness in which he shall leave. Ellipsis. The following next day, Bai Yan was just coming out of her slumber when the door to her room was slammed open by a heavy push. It was Bai Xiao, her brother. Sister, something big has happened. Watching that handsome and young face, Bai Yan inexplicably pricked up her brow in confusion. What has happened to make you so excited? The queen has gone missing, and her closest maid was found dead inside her room. The queen is missing. Upon hearing this news, the first thing Bai Yan thought of was Daikang's face. However, even if that arrogant man wishes to deal with the queen, he shouldn't need to go through such trouble. At most all he had to do was bury that woman inside the cold palace and that's it. Adorable treasured fox, divine doctor mother overturning the heavens. Chapter 128, True Affection 1. The royal family will take charge in searching for her if she's missing, it has nothing to do with us. Stretching lazily from her bed, brother, go find Xiaogan and I'll take him to our grandparents' place later. The incident from last night will surely raise the awareness of the Lan family, so explaining her son's existence wouldn't be difficult. Sister, have you finally decided to let Xiaogan meet him? Bai Xiao's expression looked very excited, even more so than the matter regarding the queen's disappearance. Nodding to confirm her answer, then I'll go find him now to tell him this good news. This translation is only BCAT translation. Bai Xiaogan's greatest hope was to get the family's recognition. If he were to learn that he's able to come out in the open, it's certain that he will be very excited. As such, Bai Xiao immediately ran out of the room after saying this sentence, leaving only the somewhat dazed Bai Yan in the background. Ellipsis. At the moment, Bai Xiaogan was nestling in the Wang family's estate. With a pig trotter in hand, his mouth was full of grease. How is it? Isn't my mother's cooking awesome? I robbed it from Little Rice. Considering how proud he looks, one will surely take it as a form of gloating over her mother's awesomeness. Xiaogan, didn't you say you were going to leave? Stuffed with meat in his big fat mouth, Wang Xiaopeng chubby could barely make his words audible. Pinching his mouth to the side, the boy sounded displeased in his voice. Don't remind me. Just when I was about to leave, the big baddie caught me. Fortunately though, I don't have to hide anymore because of that. Blinking his big baby eyes, he used a baiting tone to continue his words. Let me tell you a secret, I also ran off to find that bad woman to get revenge. Then does that mean you won't have to leave? That's awesome then. Taking another bite from the pig trotter, Wang Xiaopeng appeared quite excited at the news. To tell you the truth, I was going to miss you a lot. Miss me? Who was the one who completely tossed me aside over some sugar beans the other day? There's clearly still a hint of grudge over his friend's treatment from yesterday. Xiaogan. Suddenly, a call for him came from the outside. Uncle is calling for me now. Jumping up from the chair, he first wiped the grease from his mouth before turning back to his friends. Xiaopeng chubby, Japtong little sister, I am very happy to have met you too. Let's be good friends for a lifetime. Now that he doesn't need to be sent back, it also means he no longer have to worry about leaving behind these newfound friends of his. At no time before this had he been happier. Blinking his chubby eyes, Wang Xiaopeng also felt happy over his friend's situation as he watched that disappearing back. After leaving the Wang family's home, Bai Xiaogan immediately saw a young boy quietly standing to the side of the road. Delighted by the sight, he quickly trotted over with his tiny legs and jumped into those arms. Uncle, before I only had mother and my grandchauffeurs. Oh yes, there's also godfather and sister Chu. But now I got so many family and friends, I'm so happy. Poor little Rice, the boy manages to mention everyone but him. Xiaogan. Aching inside, Bai Xiao gently caresses that tiny head with warmth. In the future, the number of people around you will only grow more and more. Really? Bai Xiaogan's eyes were very bright, brighter than the very stars in the night. However, the most important person in my heart is still mother. Breaking out into a laugh, Bai Xiao was truly touched by the little guy's affection towards his mother. Adorable treasured fox, divine doctor mother overturning the heavens. Chapter 129, True Affection 2. Loosening the little fella in his arms, that handsome face reveals a gentle smile. Xiakan, you go prepare. Later we will go to your grandmother's place. Biting his little finger, Bai Xiakan looks troubled here. Uncle, do you know what my grandfather and grandmother likes? And there's uncle, auntie and my mother's cousins, do you know what they like? I want to prepare a proper gift for them when we meet. Xiakan, you are the junior so you don't need to prepare a gift. Pinching the little cuddly thing on the nose, Bai Chia was very amused by how good his nephew was. That won't do, I must prepare a gift. If not, then I can give them my sugar beans even though I like 'em so much. They are all mother's closest relatives, so giving 'em some sugar beans aren't much. After coming to this decision, he then trotted back into the old manor to prepare. Ellipsis. Since after last night where the boy pulled off that sensational incident, it's only natural that the entire Lan family becomes aware of his existence. However, due to Bai Yan's whereabout being unknown, old Madame Lan can only wait at home, forcing her to become sleepless all night over that great-grandson of hers. Fortunately Bai Yan didn't make the poor grandmother wait very long. Together with her brother and the child, the three made the visit together. At first sight of the little steam bun, the old lady could no longer keep herself together. Rushing up, she embraces the adorable little thing and started to weep from pure joy. Mother, Dong Ruol and aunt warmly smiled. Don't you see that father is staring at him? He's been talking about him all night, so why don't you let him have a look before you keep crying? Sure enough, old Lord Lan was all huffing with steam in the back. Now that he's been pointed out by his daughter-in-law there, that already grumpy face became even grumpier. What are you blabbing on about? When did I ever talk about him all night? No matter what, he's not going to admit it. Breaking free from the old granny's embrace, Bai Xiakan then trotted over to the old grandfather and cried out with his arms reaching out, "Grandpa, hug." Practically instantaneous, that frowning mouth spontaneously curved into a smile. But due to his image in the presence of the others, he promptly changed it back to a grumpy one after the small slip-up. You are so old already, still asking for a hug. Having said that, old Lord Lan didn't exactly match his words there. Moving those hands, he gladly picked up the child into his lap. Smiling innocently, Bai Xiakan tugged at that beard like an average child. Grandfather, I wanted to meet you. Mother would often mention you over the years. Oh, shifting his gaze over to Bai Yan, then back at the little steam bun. What did your mother say about me? Is it to complain about how I didn't care about her over the years? Of course not. Mother said you are the greatest person in the whole world and that she had always admired you. But because she's too ashamed back then, she didn't dare come visit you. Also, now that we are here, she said we won't be leaving and can be with you from now on. Twitching in the mouth, Bai Yan was seriously questioning her own memories. When did I ever say that? Ever since she became reborn into this world, the only memorable impression she had was her brother Bai Xiao there. As for these people in the Lan family, she only got acquainted with them recently. However much a lie those words are from the little guy, it's clearly making the old grandpa very happy. Blooming with delight even though he's still making that coffin face, no one was going to break it today. So your mother was always talking about me, eh? Hurry and tell grandfather here. What else did your mother say? Looking at the smiling expression of her grandfather, Bai Yan's heart became a little bittersweet. So this is what a family is like. Only a few words and that's enough to make one so happy with affection. Scratching the tiny head, Bai Xiakan puts on a forgetful face. There are too many that I can't remember 'em all. But before that, I brought some gifts for grandfather and everyone. Adorable treasured fox, divine doctor mother overturning the heavens. Chapter 130, Dan Pill Gifting Conference. You also prepared a gift. Old Madame Lan was a little surprised there. You child, It's already good enough that you brought Xiakan here, why the gifts? She looks at Bai Yan in a reproaching manner. Grandmother, there's a special meaning to this gift. As it so happens, they are exactly what the family needs in these times. Making a warm smile, she continues with a hint of mystique, son, bring out the gifts you prepared. Gleefully getting off from his great-grandfather's embrace, Bai Xiakan then brought out several porcelain bottles to hand it over to his mother. From the batch, Bai Yan first picked out a bottle for the quiet Lan Xiaoyun girl cousin standing to the side. Xiaoyun, why are you so quiet today? Ha! Hearing the familiar voice, the quiet girl quickly regained her strength and became a little embarrassed. I was at the criminal division earlier because Lord Kang gave me permission. That's when I saw how miserable Bai Ji was. So, I was just thinking how I should go add fuel to the fire on my second visit. It's pretty obvious at this point her hatred for the other girl had penetrated straight into her bones. In particular was after last night where she learned of Yurong's horrible deeds from back then. Selling her cousin, want to burn her cute nephew. With that sort of grudge, how can she not go make trouble for her enemy in the prison cell? Only a fool wouldn't. You don't have to worry about Bai Ji for now. Bai Yan then hands the selected bottle to her younger cousin. This here is a second-grade genuine spiritual pill. I can see your cultivation is already at the peak of the yellow rank. With it, you are sure to break through your bottleneck. Troubled in the face, Lan Xiaoyun sounded hesitant in her voice. This is, Dan pill. It's for me. In recent days, the girl had indeed reached a bottleneck in her cultivation, hence the reason why old Lord Lan was planning to purchase a Dan pill for her breakthrough in the coming days. However, he didn't expect Bai Yan to deliver it in such a timely manner. Bai Yan ignored her cousin's surprised look. Instead she shifted her gaze over to her big cousins Lan Shaling biggest and Lan Sheroyan second cousins. I know your strength is already at the earth class level, so a second-grade Dan pill will be useless for you too. Therefore, I prepared these third-grade Great Spirit pills instead. Though they cannot directly help you to make a breakthrough, but the effects will slowly come through. This. Now both men were stunned by this. Watching the bottles directed at themselves, neither could bring their hands to accept the gift. Each bottle has more than a dozen in there, more than enough for a good while. Uncles. Bai Xiakan innocently giggled. Hurry and take these sugar beans. If anything, I can just eat less snacks in the next while. Amused by the comment, Lan Yu uncle makes a gentle pinch at the little guy's cheek. Your mother is trying to give us Dan pills. What does that have to do with your snacks? Tilting his head, Bai Xiakan answered honestly without thinking it through, because these are my snacks. Little Rice always tries to fight with me to eat more. Snacks. Twitching in the mouth, Lan Yu uncle almost couldn't believe his ears. This is too extravagant. My dear, old Lord Lan frowns. I know you took on a fourth-rank alchemist as your Shifu master, but by giving us all these stuff, wouldn't your Shifu be mad and blame you? Never in the old grandpa's mind did the idea of Bai Yan being a powerful alchemist cross his mind. It can't be helped, the former Bai Yan's talent was simply too mediocre. Though she's been gone and must have encountered something great, but the time frame was only 6 years. Then there's also the matter of childcare. The most old Lord Lan expected was Bai Yan being a second-rate alchemist at best. End of the chapter. Adorable treasured fox divine Dr. Mother overturning the heavens, will be read in 10 chapters for every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday and Sunday. Please leave this sound novel and press subscribe, follow, and the bell so you don't miss any new clips as well. See you.